All right, so this is my hot take, and this is kind of what I've gleaned from studying for about 15 years. Although it didn't have to be 15 years, it's just because that's the timeline. But you can learn this in a month. But here's what I think. I think the reason why the Epstein files have dropped is not because a certain ethnic persuasion rules the world. It's because people above them rule the world. The people above them behind the scenes, want the world to turn against that certain ethnic persuasion. They want that to happen. They want it to happen so that they can bring about their new world order. Okay? So basically, it's all manufactured because it doesn't make any sense if that group of ethnic persuasion is dropping the Epstein files through the Department of Justice. That doesn't actually make any sense. Because why would they give the illusion that that certain group of ethnic persuasion rules America? Why would they give the why would they tell on themselves? That doesn't make any sense. It's like, oh, we were pressured to do it. No, it would be heavily curated to the point where you couldn't decipher anything. They would. It doesn't even make sense. It's not logical. If the government really, the government's not transparent. The government is not for the people. That's a bunch of crap. So the fact that people think, oh, the government dropped these files, therefore that means they're transparent. No, there's something more nefarious at play. They did it for a reason, or they wouldn't have done it at all. Criminals don't tell on themselves. That's not how crime works. Okay? That's not logical. It's a very common sense thing, very basic. A criminal's not going to tell on themselves. So if somebody's telling on something, if they're exposing something, it means something bigger is at play. So like I said, I think there's people behind these people. There's people above them. And they want to sacrifice that group of people from a certain state, from a certain Middle Eastern country, from a certain ethnic persuasion. They want to sacrifice that in order to bring about what they want to bring about, which is their new world order. And to do that, I think they're fomenting this, truth out there. They're putting it out there, and they're saying, hey, this is what's good. Your leaders are all corrupted. They're all sickos. You need to revolt, right? So when people revolt, order out of chaos, they can come in and they can implement their new world order. Nothing else makes sense. There's no other alternative. Why would so much information? People are like, oh, it's the age of Aquarius. People are waking up. The information's coming out. It's like, no, that's not how things work. Everything's always manufactured. Everything is always part of a systemic plan. It's always social engineering. That's how the world works, right? Things don't just happen randomly. I mean, they do, but not like that. Not like big like that. Okay? It's planned. It's for a purpose. Everything is for a purpose when it comes to the government, and when it comes to, the release of information, the news, the flow. It's not organic. It's not. It's all a stage. It's all part of a plan. It's all part of a bigger plan, and that is to bring about their new world order. And so how are they going to do it? They've got to create the chaos, order out of chaos. So in order to have order out of chaos, you first have to have the chaos. So how are they going to do that? Well, they've been fomenting the culture wars between Democrats and Republicans. They've been fomenting the wars in the Middle East. They've been fomenting, the way this certain country is going about their wars and their stuff, which is given a certain public perception. This stuff is public, and they know it's public. It wouldn't have hit the news if they didn't want it to happen. It's not like, oh, you were just they just discovered it and then they put it out there. No, it's manufactured on purpose. Why though? Right? Again, it's to go a certain way. They want that chaos. Things have been too peaceful. It's like, okay, all right. America had its time. It had its little couple hundred years, right? It got to be a superpower. We gave it all this power. We got what we wanted from it. We gained all our money. We're super rich now. What do we want? We want total control. We have to unite the world. And they've been talking about it. The New World Order. Everybody mentions it. The New World Order here and there, right? So, well, that's why. That's why it dropped. That's why these files dropped. That's why it came to light. Otherwise, and they got to break a few eggs. They got to break a few eggshells to make an omelet, right? Got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. So then these are things that they've had. All the Epstein files they're just blackmail. That's all it is. It's just stuff people documented to keep the people who are implicated in line, to keep them, under their thumb. If it's leaders and presidents or whatever, it's because so they could control them when they were in office. So they would always do what they wanted them to do. So it's all just logical. It all just makes sense. It's like, nothing happens by, the Department of Justice has all of a sudden just become not corrupt and just become transparent. Yeah, right. No, that's not how these factions work. That's not how this stuff works. No, it's planned. And what's coming around the pike? We got 4 more years until Agenda 2030. What's that, right? Agenda 2030. That's going to be a big one. So 5 years ago we had COVID. 5-6 years ago we had COVID hit. The world's changed drastically since then. In another 5 years we're going to have Agenda 2030, and we're going to see what happens with that. I think in even 2020 when COVID hit, I think they had an Agenda 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So they've got these agendas, these world leaders who get together and they call themselves the United Nations, or they call themselves the Board of Peace, or this group, that group, ICC, or whatever. It's just a bunch of criminals. It's just James Bond type stuff, really. It's that's the conspiracy, is these people who are really behind the scenes ruling it all. And your leaders are puppets, and they've been bought and sold out. And they're going to they're going to break the few eggs. They're going to give away the Obamas and the Clintons and the Bushes, and they're not going to give away the Trumps that much, maybe a little. I don't know how much that's going to go down. There's already stuff that's been released, but they're really throwing these other guys under the bus, right? And people are going to say, we've been lied to. Who's the real? It's this group of ethnic persuasion. Let's attack them. And then they're going to get their martial law. They're going to lock it all down and say, the world has become corrupted and we have to come in and police it. Or whatever. And their Antichrist guy is going to rise up. And that's what they want. They want that control. They want that, they want that utopia that they think is that they're going to rule, but they're irrational. If they read the Bible, they probably don't believe in the Bible or whatever. They're all darkened in their minds. The Bible says that's when Christ's going to come back. So, however that happens, it seems to me that this is how it's going to go down. This is why they're doing all this. Nothing happens by accident. Nothing happens by just perchance the files were released. For some reason, the government, who's been hiding these files for decades, just decided to release them. It's because of Thomas Massey. It's because Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey were just such stalwart American patriots that they, you know, picketed and debated and won the debates, and they won the file. Like, bullshit, dude. Come on. No, it's not how things work. If they didn't want them to be released, they wouldn't be released. They want them to be released for a reason. You have to ask yourself, what is that reason? Why? Why is all this coming out? Everybody's acting like, oh, this is some big breakthrough. This is some big revelation. Now we're finally getting to the bottom of the corruption. Now things are finally going to change. It's like, no. You don't know what's coming because you don't read the Bible. You don't read Revelation. You don't know how evil works. They do run the world. They do have a chokehold on everything, on the entire world, everyone in it. They rule them. So you really think they're going to give themselves up? You really think they're just going to... No. Because it's not just that group, that ethnic persuasion. It's not just that state, that country. It's not just them. They're part of it, but it's not just them. They're a small fry. No. There's royal families, royal bloodlines. Not just the UK, not just the British royalty. No. There's people who can trace their lineage back to ancient Rome. There's people who've been ruling behind the scenes for centuries. People who own the world quite literally, have the deed to entire countries. Okay? Trump owns some buildings. He's a billionaire. He owns some buildings. These people are trizillionaires. If there's, whatever is beyond a trillionaire, these people own money. They print the money. They own it. They own the concept of money. They own, if they wanted to, they could print out $1 billion tomorrow and buy an island if they wanted to. It's not, and they wouldn't even need to buy the island because they own it already. You see, these are the people who really, really run the world, and they manufacture everything. Everything that goes on is for the benefit of them. If you're working a 9 to 5 so you can support your family, it's for their benefit. It's so that they can have an economy that suits them for rulership. It's so that they can have a planet that they can leech off of and parasitically siphon whatever they want from it. Resources, whatever they want. Land, whatever they want. Souls, slaves, whatever they want. Right? You see my point? It's absolute power. It's supreme rulership. I don't even have to worry. I'll just start. I want $1 trillion. I'll just manufacture a war. Or I don't like the way this economy is running in such and such country. I'll just start a war and I'll change it. And they have the power to do that. Because they own factions within the power structure. That's the type of power we're talking about. We're not talking about small fry presidents, small fry prime ministers, small fry dictators. Those are just puppets. They're just figureheads. There's people who own the countries that those people are supposedly running. There's people who actually own that entire entity. Everything that goes on in that country, from what movie theater gets put here, or what sports stadium gets put here, what sports team is winning, who votes how. They control everything. What movies get put out, how the blocks and the streets are laid out, everything. People don't understand this type of power. And these people are religious. These people have a spiritual aspect to them. It's a cult. It's satanic. And they have their own little goals and their own little tenets within that religion, within that dark, evil religion. And ultimately, they want to rule. They already do rule, but they want to rule in even a more cruel way because they have an agenda. And they want to enslave everybody, and they think that they're going to bring in their version of utopia, their version of heaven. So it's not enough just to control and rule everything. It's not enough. They want even more control. They want to even make everybody even more slaves. And it's dark, and it's twisted, and it's dystopian. But it is what it is. It's in the Bible. It's always got to go a certain direction. I don't know why. You know, I don't know why God did it that way. I don't know why. You know, we could have been born into some other thing, but we weren't. This is the earth that we're born into, and you just got to deal with what you got. You got to deal with the environment that you have, and that's just the reality of this environment. It's not going to be like, oh, well, the files were released and we're going to fix this corruption and then everything's going to be okay because we eradicated this systemic cancer of evil. It's like, no. The entire system is evil. The entire concept of man ruling over other men is evil. You think, oh, the government is by the people, for the people. No, it's rulership. It's man ruling over other men. And that's not what God wanted. God wanted a theocracy. He wanted his rule, his kingdom. And man broke away in the Garden of Eden and made his own kingdom. The city of Cain, which turned into Babylon, which turned into Assyria, which turned into Macedonia, which turned into Rome, which turned into Greece, which turned into, Britain, the UK, the monarchy, which turned into America, so all these major nations throughout history have all one thing in common. They're not really under God, even though our Constitution or our Pledge of Allegiance says one nation under God. It's not really the truth. It's not really the truth. It's men are being ruled by men. It might say under God, and some people might believe it. And in some people's minds, yeah, they might be under God in some people's minds. And God honors that. That's good. But as far as our actual government is concerned, no, it's been bought out. It's been corrupted. It's not really under God. It's not under Jesus. It's under their God. Moloch and Satan and their owl and Baal and all these Egyptian gods and all the Canaanite gods. Read the Bible, man. That shit didn't go away. They're still into that stuff. But anyways, yeah, that's my take on it. That's my 2 cents. That's what I think. From all my studies, all my years of studies, that's what it is. These people are occultists. They're pagan. They don't believe in the one God. They don't believe in Jehovah. They don't believe in Jesus. Or if they do, they've rebelled against him and they think they can take over. They've been corrupted like Satan got corrupted when he was in heaven. He thought he could overthrow God and he was sorely mistaken and God kicked him out. God said, nope, I banish you to earth or whatever. Get out of heaven. You're no longer welcome. And he had to leave. And now he's on earth. So this is the final countdown. It's the final showdown. It's the final battle. Armageddon. Jesus versus Satan. God's followers versus Satan's followers. I don't know why it had to be like this. I don't like it. I just want to live a peaceful life, not bother anybody. I don't want to be bothered, and I don't want to bother anybody. That's all. I just want to live my peaceful life, But we're born into a battle, whether you like it or not. You could choose to ignore it, but it's not going to go away. You are on a battlefield. You could choose to ignore the bullets that are flying by your head and the bombs that are going off here and there. You could choose to ignore it. But the reality is that Satan is battling it out with God on the earth. That's the freaking reality. That's the real reality of this entire world. It's always been that way. Why do you think these wars happen? Because God and Satan are battling. Why do you think all this stuff is happening? Why is there all this evil? Why is there this fight between salvation and damnation? This fight between choosing God and choosing the world, choosing to follow Christ and stop sinning, or to continue to sin, and to, these choices are on a micro level, even on an intrinsic level. Every day we're battling. Should I go do this? Should I buy this? Should I give myself to this? That's a battle. You're in a battlefield whether you like it or not. People think, oh, I can just be neutral. And nah, man. It's not how things work. It's not what our reality is. Our reality is a battle. Everybody's battling. The animals are battling for apparently it's for survival, but really you're battling corruption. So the Bible talks about it, corruption. It's talking about how the earth has been corrupted. It's a different kind of battle. It's not just survival, it's corruption. Ultimately, corruption results in death. So everybody's battling death in one way or another. Not just physical death, but spiritual death, right? Battling the negative entities in our life. That's not just a, sort of philosophy. That's a reality. It's not just a sort of figure of speech, or yeah, man, we got to get onto the positive vibes, not ignore the negative vibes. It's really darkness. It's really light versus darkness, for real. And yeah, it might be exhibited in certain ways where somebody's negative. Yeah, it could be exhibited in those ways, in those micro ways. But in reality, there's a force out there. There's a malignant force that wants to enslave mankind, harm mankind, damage mankind. And ultimately, they want to consume mankind as much as they can. Because Satan hates mankind, because we're made in the image of God, and he's not. So he employs evil workers. He employs, these elite people who, he gives the keys of the kingdom. It's when he was tempting Jesus, that's what he said: I give power to whom I will. I give rulership to whom I will. Go read that. I don't know if it's in one of the Gospels where he's talking about how he gives, I give to whomever I will power and fame and rulership. Right, so these people who are really ruling, and these celebrities, and everybody who's succeeding in this great outward way, millionaires, Satan did that. Satan put them there, not necessarily God. People think, oh, I want to thank God, like God blessed them to be a rapper that is talking about all this disgusting stuff and selling poison in the form of music to their communities. Like, God didn't do that. Satan did that. Satan's your God, right? If you want to be like God, go look at what Jesus did. Go look at John the Baptist. Go look at Isaiah the prophet, or Jeremiah the prophet, or Paul's life, or Job. These people are not happy. They're not super successful outwardly. Some of them are, but not all of them. King David, Jacob, Abraham, they were sojourners on the earth. They lived these hard lives in a lot of ways. Yeah, some of them God gave riches and fame and power to, some of them. And then some of them were corrupted by that power and fame. Like David and Solomon. They were corrupted by it. Right? So, no, look at Daniel. He was thrown in a pit by his own brothers. Or excuse me, that was Joseph. Daniel was thrown in the lion's den. Daniel was a captive in a foreign land. Joseph was thrown in a pit by his own brothers and shipped up the river, right? Shipped up to Egypt. And these men were suffering, Following God is a suffering. Following God is something different. It's not what the world views as success, Because what did Jesus say? He said, my kingdom is not of this earth, right? My kingdom is not of this earth. And it's the same with us. Those who are born of Christ, born of God, our kingdom is not here. I don't have any stock in the American government. I don't have any stock in the world government or the world economy. I don't own a house. I don't have a big bank account. I don't have a 401k or retirement plan. I have none of that. I don't care. I go live in a van, maybe, whatever. I wouldn't like it, but if it happens, it happens. I'm following Jesus. Jesus is my king. His kingdom is my glory. And it's not easy. That's not an easy route. It's not an easy road to give up everything. To be poor and destitute and broken down and lonely and sick and stricken. But that's the mark of a Christ follower. That's what Christ was. The Bible says he was a man of sorrows. He was constantly suffering. Look at Paul's life, one of the greatest apostles, He was constantly suffering, constantly. He said, I die daily. I die to my soul life. There's constantly things that kill us, constantly things and we fight against it. We're not as good as Paul. We're not as faithful. We don't understand as much as Paul. We haven't been able to forsake the world as much as Paul, forsake materialism and our own selfishness. It's very difficult to do. That's why Jesus said, take up your cross and follow me. Deny your soul life, deny yourself. Very difficult to do. The hardest verse in the entire Bible is that right there. Extremely difficult to do because we have our own goals and we have a flesh. We've got we've got an ego, and we've got selfishness. It's very difficult to deny all that and to live in privation and live in poverty and live in lack for want, right? And but we've got a glory in the kingdom, whether we like it or not, whether that's what we want or not. Those who've been saved, who've chosen Jesus, who've chosen salvation, that's your destiny, whether you like it or not. However you get there. We've all got a different road that we have to walk. Some might have nicer roads than others. Some might have prettier roads than others. I don't know why. Will their rewards be different in heaven? I don't know. In the new heaven and new earth? I don't know. Maybe. We're not there yet, but we're coming up close. I don't know. I'm not the best example. I'm a pretty selfish person in a lot of ways. Very, very selfish. I don't know. But I made a choice at some point to follow God, and I've done it to whatever extent. Not a great extent, probably. Not in the best way I could have. Full of failures, full of sins. But I still believe in God. I still love God. I still love Jesus. I still believe in it. I believe in the goal and the purpose. And I see through the world's lies. I see through the facade. I don't buy into all this crap. I don't buy into this celebrity. I don't buy into this economy or this presidency or that presidency or this party or that party or this thing or that thing. I don't buy into any of it. It's all manufactured. It's all a bunch of crap. It's all a satanic manufactured system. It's all a satanic invention, all of it. It's all inspired by Satan. None of it's spiritual. None of it's moral. Barely anything is righteous. Barely anything is moral. Most everything is degraded, corrupted, degenerate, immoral in some way or another. Even marriage. It's corrupted. Even love is corrupted. Even the purity between a man and a woman is corrupted. To a great extent. Does righteousness exist on the earth? Yes. God is still around. God still has his people on the earth to whatever extent. Is his representation here? I believe so. To whatever extent. To whomever carries it. I can't say that I know who those people are. I can't say that they're probably hidden. But it's there, it's around. Anyway, we're headed towards the end, so get ready. Buckle up. Because they're ramping this stuff up. They want it to happen. We're on their timetable. We're on their agenda, not the other way around. And we're on God's agenda. Because wherever there's, what does Revelation say? Whenever there's the red horse and the dark horse and the pale horse, right? There's always the white horse. What do those horses represent? The dark horse represents death. The pale horse represents, I believe, famine. The red horse represents war. And the white horse represents the gospel. The gospel of Christ, of Jesus Christ. The 4 horsemen. They're always running. So Revelation says they're always running together. They run together. Meaning wherever there's war, famine, death, there's the gospel. And the gospel runs along with it. And we've seen this throughout history. All the wars, all the turmoils. God is there somewhere behind the scenes, planning, preparing, arranging the gospel. Because he wants his chosen ones. He wants to save humanity. What does John 3:16 say? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that those who believe into him may not perish but have eternal life. He wants to save humanity. He wants to save his people. He wants to save his earth, his creation. He loves people. We are created in his image because he loved us. He chose us to be his creation, and he's chosen us to be saved in Christ. Period. That's what life's all about. That's the purpose of life. Everything else is secondary. Everything else is worldly. Everything else is selfish. Everything else is satanic. Everything else is temporary. Everything else will pass away. Period. It's Christ. It's eternity. It's God's rule. It's God's kingdom. It's God's theocracy. It's God's government that he's going to establish. Amen. Thanks for listening.